Hello, Internet. The Morgan You Know podcast network presents Balls and Brew.
Hello, good evening. Thank you for joining us live. If you are right now on Facebook or Twitch or YouTube, maybe you're checking in later on any of those platforms. Maybe you're checking in later just audio wise on a podcast. We appreciate you taking some of your time to spend it with us here at the Morgan You Know Podcasting Network. Our live broadcast, we try to do this every Thursday night, sometime between 9 and 9:30. We do our Balls and Brew sports show. We do our wrestling Yeah We Know show. That one will come up later. To do both of those things, I will serve as your host. My name is Rod Morgan, and I need help from my three friends, and I have no more fun the entire week when I get together with them and we talk about sports the way that you possibly do when you're with your boys having a couple of brews. That's why we call it Balls and Brew. He produces the show. He makes sure that we can be out on these internets in video. He sends out our shorts. He basically does everything except talk full time. He only talks part time and does everything else. So kind of he does really everything, I guess, but we all love him. He's Jimmy Jimriska. Jimmy, hello.
Well, I'm not a big conspiracy theorist. I don't make against the spread predictions, and I am not the Mr. Morgan you know, but I am a very, very big fan of football.
There it was. There it was. Jimmy's had the chance to say that a bunch of weeks in a row this year. That has been fun for him. Somebody else who I know is having fun recently. His Hoosiers are playing in a huge game on Saturday. His Cowboys are rolling high. He hasn't felt this good since Eli Whitney introduced the cotton gin. It's Chris King. Chris, hello.
Rod, I won't make fun of you for calling it the internets because I'm so happy. It's called relevancy. The Cowboys are relevant as always. 57.5 million tuned in to watch that game on Thanksgiving Day. All right, the highest rated NFL regular season game ever. The Cowboys are relevant.
Chris
It's
sounding like
something you
Paul
bear.
Heyman over here talking about the island of relevancy. That's a little shout out to our wrestling show that will come up a little bit later. Our man that knows football the way Jimmy knows wrestling. He's chopping up the numbers. He can talk about the refs. He can talk about the luck stats. He can talk about the EPA, the TDA, the QRB. I'm not sure if any of those are actual real things, but he knows. It's Josh Williams. Josh, hello.
What's up, boys? I continue to stink on the Thanksgiving slate. I think I'm 1-7 against the spread in the last 3 years, picking early on Tuesday nights now. So it's to fade me on the Thanksgiving slates from here on out. But Chris stole my thunder. 57 million people watched the KC at Dallas game on Thanksgiving. It peaked at 61 million, the most watched regular season game in NFL history. The Pack and the Lions, most watched early game in Thanksgiving history, and Ravens and Bengals, most watched night game in Thanksgiving history, reminding everyone that the NFL is king.
Reminding everyone that Williams complains every year at this very podcast about the fact that we make him pick games against the spread early on Thanksgiving week. Jimmy, that's our tradition, unlike any other, kind of like the Masters around here, isn't it?
It's kind of our thing that we do to make sure he loses just so we can rag on him. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. I think we like to do that too. But something else we like to do around here is start every show with the cold open question of the week to get us warmed up, to give you an insight into something other than our sports takes. And we are rolling into holiday party season, ladies and gentlemen. Your office is going to have either a good holiday party or a bad holiday party or no holiday party whatsoever. But bottom line is a decision is going to have to be made on the holiday party here in the next couple of weeks. Cool holiday parties are fun. Bad holiday parties can be fun. But one thing that happens at an awful lot of holiday parties is karaoke. So, gentlemen, with that in mind, my question to you, the cold open question is, your go-to karaoke song is what? Josh Williams.
Oh my God. I have no idea. Let's go Freebird.
Freebird. He's doing some Leonard Skinner for the people. He's getting up and he's karaokeing, Jimmy. He's karaokeing now. a 6.5 to 7 minute long song. I'm already questioning his decision of picking Freebird as his karaoke song. Jimmy, your karaoke song.
It's the end of the world as we know it, and I feel fine. But here's the thing: I do a duet, and I just say the word "right" when they say "right" at the very end of that. That's all I do, and it's golden. Ober and I did it a couple times, and my boy Ober at Ball State University did it a few times. He would sing all the time. I'm not a singer. Listen, again, my musical taste, same as my musical acumen. Can't do it. Don't know what's going on, but I can say right. And by the way, yes, I did miss the beat.
Come on, Jimmy. That's a cop-out answer out of you. You're telling me that you're doing one word of a karaoke song. I didn't say you were doing a karaoke duet. I said you were forced to get up there. Let's take you back to the Cincinnati days, Jimmy. When you're out there, you got people. They're looking to you to be the fun, cool leader, and you got to step up there and sing a karaoke song. What are you doing? Come on, you're doing Delamitri Roll to Me or something like that, aren't you?
No,
Breakfast
here's
and
the
Tiffany's,
thing.
maybe?
It has to be, well, that's number 4. It has to be either Meatloaf, it has to be Dave Matthews, or it has to be Bon Jovi. So I'm going to be that guy. I'm going to go Bon Jovi. I'm going to go Living on a Prayer. I'm going to get everybody happy.
Nice.
It's going to be the 7th time that song is sung on karaoke, and that's fine with it because it's one of the greatest songs ever written. Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with going to a crowd favorite, hoping that if you got a live crowd, they're going to help you out a little bit there. Nothing wrong with that. Old man, you were around when they first came up with karaoke. You actually traveled extensively in Asia and knew of it before it came to America. So I expect you to have a solid answer here.
Listen, first thing I'm going to say, Rod, is there's only one answer you're allowed to give. If you say anything other than that song, we may not be friends any longer. But my go-to is Hotel California because everybody knows it. You can get a group of people involved. Everyone can have fun, and no one has to hear me sing because I am atrocious.
They stab it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast, huh? Chris has got the warm smell of colitas in the air for his Eagles. I believe Chris wants me to answer a karaoke song that he's seen me perform live in person a handful of times in his life, and it has been a rather raucous crowd reception, and that is the Humpty Dance. I've been known to do the Humpty Dance at a karaoke establishment. I've been known to do a rather raucous version of the Humpty Dance and have people congratulating me afterwards. So that is my go-to if I really want to get the crowd going. But Chris, you know that I have moved into my new love of yacht rock, and I am incredibly excited to fire up Ambrosia, biggest part of you, for somebody next time I do karaoke. I think it's going to be a crowd pleaser.
Yeah, no, not like Humpty. All right. You don't need a bar. You don't need a karaoke machine, Rod. You did it at a steakhouse in Indianapolis. All right. Like, so you don't need any
just
kind of
stood
special
up.
circumstances. Someone gave him a mic and then it was.
It was on. I
That
might
was
have had a
awesome.
few libations. But listen, karaoke is a fun time. Lots of hijinks occur at holiday party season. We will possibly have a few more cold open questions with holiday themes as we roll closer to Christmas. But let's get back to what we do best here on the show, and that is talk about football games. And it was a big Thanksgiving, as Chris already alluded to, for his Cowboys. They were riding high. Everybody was watching, and they dispatched with the current Super Bowl champs. Chris, are your Cowboys going to make the playoffs?
They're not the current Super Bowl champs. That would
No,
be
my
the
Bears
Eagles.
did that.
Yeah. The Bears, unfortunately.
I did get my. You're right, Jimmy. My bad.
Yeah, close though. The Chiefs, the team everyone loves to hate almost as much as the Cowboys, right? So it was fantastic. I don't like the Chiefs. I wanted to see them lose, and it was great to watch my Cowboys do it.
Do you think your Cowboys are making the playoffs?
That's tough. I don't know if we can get into the playoffs without winning our division. We need Philly to falter a little bit. We're only a game and a half back right now, so it's definitely feasible.
Williams, you're the handicapper around here. What chances do you give the Cowboys of making a late charge and hitting the playoffs here?
I mean, well, they just beat the two teams that played in the Super Bowl last year, so yeah, it's tough because they got the NFC is just so deep compared to the AFC. AFC is more top heavy, but it's tough to handicap right now because the Dallas is playing they're playing at the top of the market value. So you'd have to think that they're going to taper off at some point. But I said this a couple of weeks ago. I thought they turned a corner, after the death of their teammate Marshawn Nealon. So they could be. You never know how these things work, man. They could be playing for this guy the whole rest of the year and just go ahead and win like the last 7 out of 8 and get in. I can tell you this: nobody wants to see him in the playoffs. If you're NFC right now, nobody wants to see the Cowboys in the playoffs. That's how well they're playing.
Cowboys have achieved nobody wants to see us status. Jimmy, I'm going to go to you and I'm going to pin you down because I know you're going to give me an answer. Chris doesn't want to have some sort of a reverse jinx action happen on him here because he is a Cowboys fan. And Williams is forever hedging because he forever hedges until we actually make him pick against the spread. And that's what he likes to do. And that's fine. So, Jimmy, are the Cowboys making the playoffs?
I really want to say, Rod, I don't know. It could happen. It could not. No, I think they're in too much of a hole right now. Those trade deadline moves for the Cowboys were amazing and really have given them a defense, and pairing that with their offense has been great. But I think that tie is going to come back to hurt them a lot. And I also think that the Eagles, for some way, shape, or form, are going to be okay. And the Cowboys are not going to be a wild card. There's no way they're going to get to a wild card.
Jimmy, I like that, and I like that you brought the Eagles in there because here's my analogy for what the Eagles are, okay? The Eagles are an awful lot like a type of student in school, and to avoid calling anybody out, I'm just going to call myself out, okay? I was this type of student. I was really, really smart, but I didn't do any of the work. Didn't do any of the work ahead of time, wasn't doing the work that I should be doing. I was the guy who 5 minutes before class was starting was grinding out a couple of answers. I was the guy who was only studying a few minutes before the test and getting this barely enough to pass by. All of that, right? That's exactly what the Eagles are. If the Eagles were a disciplined, good football team, they would play like one every week, but they don't, because they go out and they say, our cornerbacks are going to beat your receivers when we really need them to. Our line is going to get to your quarterback where we really need them to. Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts. We got people who are better than your people, and when we really need them to make a play, they're going to make a play. But you know what works better? When you have that kind of personnel dialing up offense that hurts defenses. And that's why a team like the Rams is actually the best team in the NFC and not a team like the Eagles. Chris, the Eagles are lazy, and I think your Cowboys are going to make the playoffs. That's what I'm trying to say to you.
Wow.
It would be perfectly in line with what the NFC East does because no one wins the NFC East in back-to-back years anymore. So history is not on the Eagles' side here. All right? It's definitely on the Cowboys' side.
History on the Cowboys side, that's got to feel pretty good for you because the Cowboys have a lot of good history. You know what else feels pretty good for Jimmy Jamriska? Saying the Bears are on a winning streak, because they are, Jimmy. They rolled over the Eagles on Friday, Black Friday. I apologize for getting that wrong. You were riding high on Black Friday. Give us some of your thoughts.
It was one of the, it's funny. It was a close game, but it wasn't. This is Bears. This isn't a 1 or 2 point win. The Bears had this game pretty much throughout the entire 4 quarters. The running attack. It is so cool to see a coach, Lord and Savior Ben Johnson, naked. No, it is so awesome to see a coach say, we have an issue. We have a bye week. I'm going to fix the issue. And I don't know what happened. He fixed the issue. And now they're one of the best running games in the league. They had 220, 530-yard rushers. That's insane. And it wears down the defense where you can then make those big plays. Now, Caleb still needs to be a little bit more accurate. Absolutely no question about that. But he's also continuing to improve. This is a good team. They are the number 1 seed. I can't believe I'm saying that. The number 1 seed in the NFC right now. Is that going to be, for the next month or so? Who knows? But right now, they're playing real well, Rod.
They really are. And the Bears have that thing going for them that I really like when a team has it. They're up and they have a bit of a margin for error, and they get a say to everybody, even though they're the 1 seed. Nobody believes in us, right? Like, that works in professional sports. They're the nobody believes in us team. Everybody says the Bears are doing it with smoke and mirrors. Speaking of somebody who says the Bears are doing it with smoke and mirrors, a fellow Bears fan, Josh Williams, has said that very thing on this podcast before. So, Josh, tell us about the smoke and mirrors that continues this winning streak for your Lord and Savior Ben Johnson.
Well, they got Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon back, and so that really stabilize the defense. I think once they start getting some of these defensive pieces back, then you can really start maybe possibly thinking about the Bears making a run in the playoffs. They still have a lot of linebackers that are still hurt. But yes, Jimmy's right. They use the offensive line. This is why I wanted Ben Johnson the year prior to work with Caleb. And I knew that they were going to establish the running game. He was going to try and get the offensive line fixed, and they were going to blueprint the Detroit offensive line over to the Chicago offensive line. That's what Ben Johnson was going to do, run a lot of play action. And if you noticed the interviews with the Philadelphia defensive players after the game, they said Caleb Williams is faster than what he looks on TV. And I've been saying this all year. He is elite getting out of pressure. And Jimmy's right. He needs to be more accurate. That was a super windy game, though. But that's why Ben Johnson had the game plan of we're going to try and run it 40 plus times on you. And nobody thought they could do it against Philly, but they controlled that whole game. That was a beautiful, beautiful game plan by Ben Johnson. Anytime you have our Lord and Savior calling plays, you have a chance, Rod.
I love it. The Bears fans are getting awfully excited. Chris, couple big games coming up this week that I want to touch on because Williams doesn't have them in his against the spread picks. One of those is the Bears versus the Packers. You know Cowboy Derek Smith quite well, just like I do and like our listeners do. Jimmy and Williams know him quite well. Are you worried like I am what's going to go down between these three this week with this Cowboys-Bears game? Because it's already getting a little chippy in the group thread amongst these guys.
Right. Let's hope calmer heads prevail. Right. They all should realize, Rod, that neither one of these teams is going to win the Super Bowl, whether they both make the playoffs or not. Right. At best, we could see a repeat of, I think it was the 06 Bears. Right. Had a good record, but they weren't going to be destined to win anything. So, like, let's hope calmer heads prevail. And if you and me want to be really happy, Rod, we'll see a tie out of this game. Packers will get 2 ties on their record. Bears will get a tie. Everything will be right in the world.
Jimmy, like I said, you were getting a little chippy already last week when the Bears won on Black Friday. Do you want to go ahead and start the salvo right now? We know Derek's listening. Do you want to get the first shot in? Do you want to start this thing up? How do you want to play this?
Well, first of all, we know he's not listening. I think he made that completely clear because all we do apparently is talk about the Bears and how great they are. We never, ever have anything negative to say. No, it's just these are two good teams. The Packers, listen, I'm a Jordan Love fantasy owner, okay? I know how Jordan Love has played this year. Last week when we was on my bench, he played fantastic, no question. He's had a really up and down year. And with the Bears having their entire defense back, I like the Bears' chances in this game. I really do. We just need to. It needs to be what Ohio State, and we'll talk about that maybe later. Ohio State did this weekend in Michigan, where there's a lot of pressure on the team coming in. Biggest rivalry you have. Just play your game, do what you're supposed to do, and get it done.
Williams, you're a good history guy on this. This is the biggest Bears game since the Super Bowl versus the Colts, or is there another big game somewhere between there that I'm missing? I guess that Packers with Cutler.
Yeah, 2010 NFC Conference Championship game. Possibly the 2012, I think, regular season finale against Green Bay also. But what's tough to handicap with this game is that both teams are coming off awesome performances. Probably their A-game performances. And Green Bay has not been consistent. I mean, Green Bay lost at home as a double-digit favorite to Carolina. So anything's possible with Green Bay. If Green Bay plays their A game, Bears probably aren't winning. If the Bears play their A game, the Packers probably aren't winning because they're just not consistent. The Packers are about a 6-point favorite in this game. Look, man, if you would have told me going into the year that the Bears are in first place, they have a chance at a division title, from here on out, this is all gravy, man. This is all gravy for the Bears. The Bears' trajectory is pointing way up with Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams at the helm. We've got plenty of time to win some playoff games, okay? So everything else is just gravy here.
plenty of time to win some playoff games, plenty of time to stack draft picks. Isn't it a great thing when your favorite team has first round draft picks and they can continue to add good players to their core? That's a thing that I really like my favorite teams to do. But we'll talk
But you
about
don't want
that
to
some
talk
other
about
time.
it. You don't want to talk about it,
No,
Rod.
I don't want to talk about it.
You're
I'm
tired.
sorry. I couldn't help myself. All right, but I do want to talk about another big game that's not going to come up this week, and that is the Ravens versus the Steelers. Ravens on a big win streak, then suffer a loss at the hands of Chris's crush, Joey Burr, coming back, leading his Bengals to a win on Thanksgiving night, crushing the Ravens spirit. So now it all comes down to this: Ravens v. Steelers. Somebody has to win the NFC North, and it probably will be the team that wins this game. But Jimmy, I pose this game to you this way: do we actually see the next coach of the New York Giants in whoever loses this game in a trade after the season is over?
Okay, I need to circle back real quick to what you said about Joe Burrow, because he is my face of the week. Joe Burrow, 24-46, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, and they killed the Ravens. Welcome back, Joey B. One of the best quarterbacks in the league. Someone who we thought was going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, Lamar Jackson, is actually my heel of the week, so that kind of goes into this question. 14 of 32, 146 yards, an INT, and a couple of a sack, I think. Didn't play well again. There's something going on with Lamar. I mean, I think physically, it's just, he might be still hurt. I think you're going to see Mike Tomlin be the coach of the New York Giants next year either way. I think it's about time that they move on from him, go with somebody else. I'm intrigued to see who they would bring in for the next 20 years. You got to be careful with that pick. But I think Tomlin will be the next coach of the Giants. Harbaugh, I think they're going to keep him around another year in either way. It's either that or they're going to house clean everybody, but I think it will be Tomlin that goes to the Giants. So I will say the Giants are going to lose.
Chris, I'm going to give you some partial credit here, okay? Because you brought this up last week and I pushed back against you, and I stand by my pushback that Mike Tomlin does not deserve to be fired. He's too good of an NFL coach to get fired. But I'm starting to understand why you were saying Tomlin maybe needs to be fired, because he not being in Pittsburgh next year might be the best for all parties involved. So what do you think about my query here?
I think Tomlin's fired. I think Tomlin's fired, especially if he loses to Baltimore. I think he's going to. I think Baltimore's going to be coming out to prove a point. Lamar's going to be angry for his performance last week, especially being against Cincinnati. Baltimore gets it up more for Pittsburgh than they do anybody else. So I see that. I'm with Jimmy too. I think Baltimore sticks with Harbaugh another year no matter what. I think Tomlin's done in Pittsburgh. I don't think Giants will have to worry about trading. I think they'll just wait for the firing to happen.
Wow. All right. Chris is sticking to his guns. I like it. Williams, what do you think here? Don't you think Pittsburgh's going to say to themselves, we have an asset here the minute we fire Mike Tomlin? Just like Chris said, somebody's going to hire him. So do you think ultimately we're going to get to a scenario where one of these owners is going to say to himself, all right, fine, I'll give Pittsburgh something so I can make sure he's my coach? Don't you think we're going to get there before Tomlin gets fired?
Yeah, that's a good question. Man, Mike Tomlin, I think sometimes it's time for a relationship to end, especially in the NFL. And I think it's gone on too long here in Pittsburgh. I don't see them winning the division. Rodgers is absolutely baked. Yeah, I mean, there's no way he can come back. So if you get rid of the quarterback, get rid of the coach, you can start all over. They need to get rid of that OC too. But
it's
as
getting stale in Pittsburgh. That's what's happening.
it's
all right.
stale. Yeah. I mean, when you got
Nobody likes a stale pierogi.
When you got TJ Watt calling out the head coach, who's a defensive coach, who says we got burned by the same run play 29 different times, and Romo even pointed it out on the telecast. 29 different times they ran the same run play and you couldn't stop it. The Pittsburgh Steelers at home, the Pittsburgh Steelers were winning that game 7-0. That was one of my against the spread bets. Rod, I had Steelers plus 3.5, whatever. They're winning 7-0 and then just completely crap the bed. So I think it's time for a change in Pittsburgh. The way I see it, there's going to be 6 new coaches next year, or teams hiring a new coach for them, maybe a recycled coach, but somebody's going to get somebody here.
See, that's what I'm saying. If there's going to be 6 openings, Mike Tomlin's going to shoot to the top of that list. I just think that you've got to be smart from an asset protection standpoint here. If your coach is going to immediately be hired, you need to say to yourself, I need to get something for this coach. I can't just fire him. And Chris, we've seen that the Steelers are the type of organization that doesn't just fire people. So I get what you're saying that we need to move on from the relationship.
They don't just hire.
Continue to
they
say
don't
they're
do
not
it
gonna fire him.
They don't do it to head coaches, but they do it to coordinators. We've already seen that happen in the past, and I think you're going to see it happen with the head coach too.
I can see the Giants going after him. Right.
That's what I'm saying. Jimmy, I like your call there that Tomlin is the coach of the Giants next year, and it's probably through a trade. I like your call there. I just think that we're giving Harbaugh a little too much credit here. But you're right. He's got the Lamar factor. He can lean on Lamar being hurt. You know, the Ravens are a pretty good, solid organization, so he's probably back. Williams, we just talked about some coaches that are on the hot seat, but you have Are You Serious? We haven't even done that yet, so I'm interested to see who gets your scorn this week.
Yeah, I did a little twist here on Are You Serious? Not really coach-wise. Well, the last part is coach-wise, but I'm just going to go a whole on Are You Serious college football. Let's start in the ACC. How can you not have tiebreakers in place now with these ridiculous super conferences where there's 17 teams in the ACC? And there was a 5-way tie for second place in the ACC. No one thought, hey, you know what? Why don't we have our tiebreaker be whatever team is highest in the final college football rankings? We'll put them into our championship game. The Mountain West wasn't any better. There was a 4-way tie in that conference. UNLV lost to Boise and New Mexico, and they didn't play San Diego State, yet the computers that the Mountain West used put UNLV into the Mountain West championship game. Like, what? I mean, the American Conference figured that out, but the ACC couldn't figure it out. You know what their tiebreaker was in the ACC? Common opponent in a 17-team league. You know how many common opponents Miami and Duke had this year? 2. They had 2 common opponents in the same conference. That's why a 5-loss Duke team is playing in the ACC championship instead of a top 12 Miami team. You cannot make this stuff up. That might end up hurting Notre Dame. It actually might end up hurting Miami also if BYU upsets Texas Tech. They both could be looking outside, trying to get in. Second off, they have to fix this recruiting time period schedule. You can't let these coaches just up and leave their team before the 12-team playoff starts so he can go get a jump on recruiting for his new team in early December. That would be like a coach in March Madness. He takes his team to the Sweet 16 and then gives everyone involved, the parents, the fans, the administration, he gives everyone the now wave, said, peace, I'm out. Good luck on your Sweet 16 run. What world are we living in? This is absolutely insane to me. And lastly, the whole Lane Kiffin thing is absolutely insane. Insane what is going on with Lane Kiffin. If Kiffin is fired without cause, he's owed 80% of his remaining salary. He gets a bonus of $1 million if he wins the SEC. I'm paying you $13 million a year. You better make the damn playoff. You're treating this guy like he's Nick Saban. He got run out of SC. He bailed after one season at the University of Tennessee. Everyone in the Raiders organization hated him after he was gone. He goes to Florida Atlantic, the only place that he's been at where they don't hate him. And then he goes to Ole Miss, where it takes him to the playoffs, only to tell those players and that administration, I'm out before he even plays a single game in the college football playoff. And oh, by the way, I'm leaving you for another conference foe in LSU. And he doesn't understand why people are upset with him. I mean, he needs to have a little integrity. He's 50 years old. Did you guys see the story? He saw where Kirk Herbstreit was getting condolences after his dog died. And when he got a new one, started bringing him into the games with him. Lane Kiffin started bringing a dog to the games, but it wasn't even his dog. He got this dog from a kennel, and he started bringing him to the games, and then he would bring him back after the games. I mean, if that's not some narcissistic, childish behavior, and LSU, you gave this guy $13 million a year. I mean, this is insane. They're treating him like Nick Saban. He's not Nick Saban. He's not Nick Saban. And LSU fans, how are you going to feel when he does this to you in 3 years? He's going to do the exact same thing because he wants the Alabama job. That's why he waited one more day to take the LSU job, because he wanted to see if Alabama would lose to Auburn. And if they did, he was going to jump on the Alabama job if they fired DeBoer. So LSU, I mean, good luck. Good luck with Lane Kiffin, man. I mean, the college football is, are you serious? College football.
Well, I'm glad that the governor of Louisiana assured us all that one thing was going to be for certain, that LSU was not going to have $100 million coach with the big buyout next time around. And as Williams just explained, we have a $100 million contract with an $80 million buyout. So congratulations, governor of Louisiana, for following through on what you told everybody in your big blustery press conference where you just had to get some headlines. Nice work.
Are we surprised though? This is the SEC, all right? Wasn't there a time, I think it was Tommy Tuberville said, I'm not leaving here until I'm in a pine box. And a week later, he left to coach Auburn, I think it was. I mean, this is the SEC.
You mean Senator? You mean Senator Tommy
Well,
Tuberville?
yeah, I don't know
Senator
if I'd
Tommy
use him
Tuberville?
as any example for anything, honestly.
At the time of how crazy the SEC is in the Southeast Conference, yeah, I would use him as an example. It's the SEC.
So-
Crazy stuff happens.
Listen,
Words don't
Lane
mean anything
Kiffin-
anymore.
Lane Kiffin, congratulations. You know, I mean, congratulations to you and your family. Congratulations to the LSU fan base. And you got to love Lane Kiffin, man. Posts on Twitter, essentially, I am mad that my previous employer won't let me keep working at the job that I just quit. You absolutely have to love Lane Kiffin, trying to make people feel sorry for him that he can't keep working at the job he just quit. You absolutely have to love it. Only in college football. Let's actually, no. We're not going to move off college football. Oh, no, we're not going to get to Williams' picks yet because we got Chris's Leatherheads. Go ahead, Williams.
They're gonna need the National Guard next year for that game when LSU plays at Ole Miss. I'm telling you, they're gonna need the National Guard.
I need Brian Kelly on somebody's desk for that game as well. I need Brian Kelly on somebody's desk.
Brian Kelly should have been the new coach of Ole Miss. That would have been fantastic.
Brian Kelly needs to be the coach nowhere. Just sit back and make all your money,
point.
Brian Kelly, and don't be a coach ever again. That's where you need to be, Brian Kelly. You know where we need to be is on Chris's Leatherheads team. That's where we need to be. And who's on there this week, Chris?
We got a couple studs, all right? I'm going to give it a shout out to a run blocker. He has been dominant this year. He plays for the Broncos. That team has been surprising everyone. I think they were, what were they favored to get 6 wins this year, Williams? 6.5 wins maybe. And they're already 10-2, all right? And that's Quinn Miners, the guard. One of the best run blockers, interior lineman in the NFL this year. But this week's Leatherhead goes to a Baltimore defensive tackle, Travis Jones. All right. I know Baltimore, you're on a slide, you're fighting for your life, but this is a bright spot. The other week, 5 tackles, 4 stops, a forced fumble. I know you guys lost, but he has been the highest rated run defender according to PFF in the league this year at 93.1.
Ravens, you took a loss on Thanksgiving night, but you got a Leatherhead. You know what I mean? 6-1, half dozen of the other in my book. Let's move on to against the spread picks. And as I alluded to a little while ago, Williams has a college pick for us. And it's a college pick that Chris is pretty excited about. Williams himself is pretty excited about it. Jimmy used to work at the other organization. We got some ties to this game here
I worked at both.
podcast. That's right. I guess Jimmy did work for both. That's right. I forgot. You did work at Indiana for a little while there too. That was your most recent employment. How did I forget that one? Indiana versus Ohio State. Big Ten. No, that was the one I was remembering for some reason. Big Ten championship. Williams, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm not being a homer, but give me the Hoosiers plus 4.5, minus 112 on FanDuel. This game is being played in Indianapolis. Before that, the basketball team plays number 6 Louisville in Indianapolis. Bloomington is going to take over the city of Indianapolis on Saturday. Let's start on the defensive side for the Hoosiers. Kamara, the D end, and Fisher at linebacker. These guys are difference makers up front for IU. They did not have these guys last year. The defense has definitely improved with NFL talent on all 3 levels. Now, why has QB Julian Sayin had such a high completion percentage this year for Ohio State? It's because that O-line hasn't allowed anybody to touch him I believe that IU prides itself in getting through to the other side of the line of scrimmage. That's what disrupted Dante Moore in Oregon. Nobody goes into Oregon and shuts down that offense. The Hoosiers did it this year. And on the other side, those back shoulder fades that Mendoza has hit Cooper and Surratt on, those are unguardable. I don't care who you have out there. I know Ohio State has an awesome secondary. Those passes are they're extremely on point. They're tough to guard. And how many good offenses has Ohio State played this year? Their best win was against I think an overrated Texas team early on in the year. They won by 1 touchdown at home, and Texas really isn't a good offensive team. Bryce Underwood last week for Michigan, the QB, was 8 for 18 with a pick versus Ohio State. And IU has scored 27 or more in 11 of 12 games. Ohio State hasn't allowed more than 16 in a game all year. Could be a low-scoring game, but you know what? You know what's nice to have on your side in a low-scoring game, Rod? The Hoosier godfather himself, Kurt Smoking Signetti. He walked into Bloomington like a made man and turned the program into an offer you can't refuse. This guy is the one who should be compared to Saban. He was on Saban's first staff at Alabama in 2007. He has attention to detail. He is meticulous. He's a way better coach than Lane Kiffin. Lane Kiffin's not buttoned up enough. We want to talk about buttoned up, every detail, precise. That is Signetti. And IU laid out the schedule perfectly this year. They had a bye before going into Oregon. They had an extra day to prepare for what we thought at the time was a good Illinois team. They played Purdue on a Friday night. You said, well, why is that important, Josh? They played Purdue on a Friday night because you don't think that coaching staff, after they whooped Purdue, was all watching that Ohio State-Michigan game, preparing, going over everything. This is a huge game for IU. This is the best coaching turnaround in the history of college football. IU has been the doormat of not only the Big Ten, but of all of college football for the history of college football. And this guy comes in from James Madison, takes them to the college football playoff in year 1, and takes them to maybe a Big Ten championship in year 2. This is a huge letdown spot for Ohio State. They just beat Michigan for the first time in 5 years. They won the championship last year. They're going into Indianapolis, where there's going to be a ton of Bloomington fans there. Give me the Indiana Hoosiers and Kurt Signetti. Don't be surprised if they shock the world. We may not even need the points, Rod. They might get the outright W.
First outright Big Ten title since 1945.
Go ahead, Chris. Take it.
That's all. That's it. 1945. All right. We're talking about 80 years. All right. Cubs fans know what waiting a long time means. That's how long Hoosier fans have been waiting.
And by the way, the last time IU beat Ohio State, 1988, you know who was on that team? Anthony Thompson, one of the best running backs in the nation, finished second in the Heisman. I'll tell you what, if IU upsets Ohio State on Saturday night, Fernando Mendoza isn't finishing second in the Heisman Trophy race. Rod, he's going to win it.
Look out, Jimmy. That's some serious cream and crimson propaganda is flowing through this podcast. Jimmy, you've worked for the Scarlet and Gray. You've worked for the cream and crimson. I'd like to think you're coming at this with a different kind of perspective. How do you see it?
I'm worried for IU. I am. This is a gigantic game. This is the biggest game anyone's played. This is the biggest game Signetti's coached in. Just because the expectations are through the roof. Last year, the tournament game, was big. The Ohio State game was big. They got beat. So I'm nervous. I don't know if I would pick IU right away. I think I would pick Ohio State to win. I know that my household will be extremely pro Ohio State, actually, with the kids. But I'd love to see IU win. The story is great. I love anarchy, and that would create a little bit. I think if IU loses, I would hate to see them drop, to 4 or 5, but they might. So I'm a little nervous, though, for IU guys. I'm not going to lie.
I got to echo Jimmy's sentiments there. I believe that today's college football world has to do with the talent, and Ohio State has proved it year after year. They have the most talent. That won out last year. I believe that's going to win out this year. And The 4.5 is a reason why I might take IU, because I would tend to believe that Cignetti and IU are definitely going to be more ready for this game than they were last year. So the 4.5 means IU could lose this by a field goal. And I'm correct that Ohio State still wins, but then you win your Indiana bet. But I think singing Indiana like as easy as you guys did, that's just, I don't know, man. I've seen way too many good Ohio State teams and not enough good Indiana teams. And I understand that you're saying don't just lean on history here. Signetti's part of a turnaround. Love me some Coach Sig. Don't get me wrong there. Big game on Saturday. Big game on Sunday between the Colts and the Jags. But as I said, I don't want to talk about the Colts right now. We'll talk about something that's related to the Colts Jags. Houston plays KC. They have got to beat KC to keep in the running for the AFC South, but KC has to win to keep in the runnings for the playoffs. Williams, what do you got for us as we go back to the NFL?
All right, Houston at Kansas City. I've got the Texans and Chiefs under 42 points, minus 110 on MGM. Yes, we're going with our first total this year. It only took me, 14 weeks to get there. But let me tell you why. Would you guys have guessed the best under team the last 3 years was the Houston Texans? You guys might have actually guessed that. They're 31-15 to the under. That's 67%. You know who the next best team to the under is? The Kansas City Chiefs. Believe it or not. That's right. Kansas City 30-16 to the under the last 3 years. That's 65% against the spread. And check this out. The number is even better at home in KC. The Chiefs over the last 3 years at home, 17-6 against the spread to the under, 74%. The Chiefs go on these long, extended, methodical drives, these 8 to 10 minute drives. That's what they're going to try to have to do here, attack these Texans linebackers, because the Texans secondary and their defensive ends are pretty damn good. And KC has Josh Simmons out, their best offensive lineman. So they're going to have to go short, quick passes. Probably a lot of Kelsey, a lot of running backs out of the backfield, some dink and dunk over the middle. Like I said, the Chiefs' best lineman, Josh Simmons, is out or is on IR right now. Mahomes is going to have to get the ball out quick. And as far as Houston's offense on the other side, Stroud still struggles with pressure, still struggles with the blitz. Chiefs' desperation spot. I think you're going to get a great Spags game plan here. Houston coming off a huge road division win in Indy last week. Could easily see their offense come out a little sluggish at night, outside, in the cold. I like both defenses here. Give me the under 42 in this game on Sunday Night Football.
Love the under. Will Anderson absolutely ate the Colts for lunch last week. He disrupted so many run plays. He was all over Daniel Jones and his broken fibula. And all I could think watching that football game was, man, I would love to have a first-round pick next year. But again, we don't want to talk about that. We're going to move on from the Colts and their desperate trading 2 first-round draft picks to try to get to the Super Bowl, even though they had no chance to get to the Super Bowl. But again, we're not talking about that because we've run long already on this football show, and we need to get to our Survivor and Wins League updates. Williams, you have been the man with the Wins League updates recently because you're winning, but you should be winning. Are you continuing to win, and by how many?
I am, but not by much. We'll start with the worst performance of the week. That was Jimmy with 2. He's up to 35 right now.
That's disgusting.
The second worst performance of the week was myself. I only had 3 wins, so that puts me at 55. Chris had a really good week. He had 5 wins. He's up to 52. Rod, you had 6 wins last week. You're up to 51.
Wow.
So
Let's go.
It's a 3-way race here, all between 4 wins for the last, 5 weeks of the year. So, man, this is a tight race coming up.
It certainly is. Jimmy Jam, we went over your Wins League score. We don't have to talk about that any longer, but things are going pretty well for you in the Survivor end of things, right? You lost early, but you've been on a heck of a streak since then. What do you got this week?
Got 9 in a row, and I'm going to pick the Cleveland Browns. They're at home. They're going against Tennessee. If they don't win this game, there's something wrong, which means, of course, they're going to lose the game. But I think the Browns have to win this game.
I think Williams mentioned something beforehand, but I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there for him. I think the Tennessee Titans are going to be looking at their next head coach across the field from them in this very game. I think Kevin Stefanski is going to be another somewhat attractive candidate in the offseason. Tennessee's got a young quarterback. Stefanski's supposed to be good with working with quarterbacks, so I think you have that there. I like that, Jimmy. The Browns, that's a ballsy pick in Survivor. Kind of like my pick from last week, where no one thought the mighty Los Angeles Rams could possibly lose to the lowly Titans and Bryce Young. Bryce Young is too short.
Panthers.
Bryce Young doesn't have a strong arm.
Yeah, they
What
didn't.
what
We
did I
didn't. No
call
one
them?
thought the
The
Titans were
Hornets?
winning that game. No one.
The Titans. Oh, see, everybody remembers the Titans. I remember them too often, apparently, when I'm trying to talk about the Carolina Panthers. But no one thought the Panthers were going to win that game. All right. Dave Canales, he thought the Panthers were going to win that game, and I thought the Panthers were going to win that game, and by golly, the Panthers won that game. What a Survivor pick by me last week. Don't mind that I've lost a bunch of times already this year, and that I'm only going to be on a streak of 2 in a row if I win my Survivor pick this week. Don't mind that. Chris, that Panthers pick had some balls, didn't it?
It did have some balls, and I'm glad that you listened to what I talk about on the podcast when a West Coast team travels to the East Coast for an early game. And that's what the Rams did. You could tell. Stafford was jet lagged. He looked horrible that game.
Who's your Survivor pick, Chris?
2 hours ago, I wrote down my pick. I wrote down the Browns. Jimmy snaked it again, just like he did last week, because I had the Broncos written down before the pod, and he snaked that one. I'm not changing it this week, Jimmy. I'm sticking with the Browns. I'm only two wins behind you on a streak. I'm going to keep with you.
Jimmy, have I picked the Dolphins this year? Yeah, I think I have.
Yeah.
I think I went on a
week
whole
7.
thing where the Dolphins.
Yeah, in week 7. They
Yeah,
lost.
where the Dolphins were
Yep.
going to stick up for Mike McDaniel. All right, so I can't pick the Dolphins. All right. Have I picked the Eagles? There's no way I've picked the Eagles.
No.
No. Eagles?
Give me the Eagles. Give me the Eagles over the Chargers. After I just made my rant against the Eagles, I think me picking the Eagles speaks to who they are, right? Everybody's trashing the Eagles. Everybody's saying, look at the Eagles.
Oh, Herbert may not
terrible.
play,
The
too.
NFC's
So,
yeah, the NFC's not going to go by way of the Eagles, and then they're going to come back and they're going to play the ugliest game in the world. They're going to score 10 points, and they're going to beat the Chargers 10-9 on like 14 tush push. It's like, so give me the Eagles. Williams, that leaves you, my friend.
Yeah, and I lost for the second straight week last week. I may have not taken the Colts if I would have known that there was a broken fibula intact there with Danny Dimes. But this makes, for now, all of us have at least one time lost 2 games in a row for a Survivor. So I'm going through this. I cannot believe no one has picked this team yet this year. I'm going with Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
that's interesting.
My guy's so beat up right now that I looked at that game for a second and I was just like, you know what? I love Baker too much to do that to him. So Williams, I hope you bring some mojo to my guy. Williams, we have kept you a little bit longer this week, but that's what happens when we're getting closer to the playoffs. We got many more scenarios to chop up. We got coaching things. We got players. Heck, we haven't even touched on who we think should be MVP, coach of the year, any of that stuff. That can all come in the future. But you know what else is in the future? A little bit of basketball talk and some wrestling talk, hosted by our intrepid executive producer, James Thomas Jamariska. Bye, Williams.
Welcome to the Fast Break, the fastest 15 minutes in the NBA. And for those of you who are watching, yes, the Lakers have just defeated the Toronto Raptors when LeBron James, in a tie game, passes to Rui Hachimura for the 3 to win it. Lakers and Raptors, pretty good matchup here for a Thursday night, Rod.
Pretty good matchup for a Thursday night. Pretty good matchup for a Wednesday night, Tuesday night. Jimmy, I will just continue to echo the sentiment you have brought up near the beginning of a lot of our fast breaks. The NBA is just downright fantastic. It's just downright fantastic. I don't know how many people are watching. I haven't checked in on the ratings. I guarantee it's not 57.5 million people like tuned in for the Chiefs and the Cowboys. But if you do tune in to any one of these teams playing, you're going to see a fabulous game. Now, I don't know if that means we have talent spread across the league. I don't know if that means guys don't try hard for 3 quarters and then they all try for the 4th, but whatever it is, we have so many good basketball games, and the Raptors and the Lakers delivered. And Jimmy, I have a memory of LeBron seemingly 17 years ago, maybe it seems, they would yell at him like, LeBron, don't pass, take the shot. And then here we are all these years later. LeBron continues to make the right basketball play, and it pays off Rui Hachimura burying a bucket. Go Lakers.
People are scared, Chris, and LeBron is old, and you can kind of relate to him. He's obviously not as old as you are, but well, I mean, I guess literally he's not as old as you are. But anyway, are people expecting a little too much about a guy who had 2 major injuries coming back in his first couple of weeks? He's kind of starting to move up now, right?
Yeah, listen, when it comes to LeBron, that's tough, right? Because he has built this expectation, okay, of doing the impossible for a very long, extended time. All right. He has been the best at his profession for over 2 decades. And so as fans, we still want to see that old LeBron, but we have to temper those expectations. What fans don't want, and especially new fans, and this is going to tie into what Rod was talking about, because we have seen some excellent basketball. All right. We have seen some real excellent basketball this year. But then you have situations where you have a top tier playoff contender out of the East go ahead and rest players on a nationally televised game. That's not how you get more fans to keep watching your game. I'm sorry. NBA's got to do something.
It's tough because resting Darius Garland for a game, it should be okay because last time I checked, he's been hurt like all season, right? Draymond Green got hurt tonight with a foot injury. Zion Williamson is out again for like 6 weeks at least with an adductor injury. But Rod, I was watching the game last night. Giannis goes down, and he had that exact same that we've all seen. No one's around me, and it hurts. Luckily, it's a calf strain. How worried were you?
You know what, Jimmy? I'm going to be completely honest here because that's what I promise all of our listeners. My conspiracy antenna kicked in immediately, right? We had the recent developments where Giannis came back and the Bucks lost to the lowly Washington Wizards. Not the Lizards. They were the Wizards that night because they got the W. And then there's an added factor that Kyle Kuzma used to be a Wizard. You traded Chris Middleton for Kyle Kuzma. Kyle Kuzma had 8 points in that game, and Chris Middleton had 20 some points in that game and was busting your ass down at the end. Okay. So what does Giannis do? I don't know if Giannis did it or if he had Thanasis do it or if he had somebody that works for him do it, but he scrubbed his entire social media, just listed himself as an NBA player and erased all of his posts going all the way back to 2021. That is some insane, stupid 2025 BS, but that's how modern day NBA players communicate. So Giannis does that, comes back, gets in an injury, and then Shams drops the news for us that Giannis is willing to sit down and talk with his people who will talk to John Horst to figure out what might be right for his future. And so, Jimmy, my immediate thought was Giannis has played his last game as a Buck. We're going to get this trade nailed out between the next 4 to 5 weeks while he's on the shelf, and then he is going to come back triumphantly off an injury the way Luka did last year when he was traded in the middle of the night by the Mavericks to the Lakers. That was my thought, Jimmy.
Chris, thoughts on that, and we're going to talk a little bit about some Giannis info.
Yeah, no, listen, it popped into my head too. Rod knows it did. As soon as I read an article last night about the whole trade scenario and thinking, I believe I talked about Giannis playing his last games in Milwaukee at the beginning of the season. And next thing you know, calf strain. I'm like, Rod, I didn't know anything about the social media scrub going on at all. So yeah, I'm with Rod. I think it's his last game, right? A- and maybe it's a Seth Rollins situation where he's injured, but he'll be back, and maybe he'll be on somebody else other than who was the Knicks that were looking at him.
Yeah, I mean the Knicks are a big
I'd like to see
a
the
big
Pacers make
name
a
in this
move.
for sure. Yeah. Rod, in this day and age of the second apron and the first apron and all that, there's really not much teams can do if someone says, "Hey, I want to go to the Knicks." I mean, the Knicks don't have any of their draft picks, so the Bucks shouldn't do that, right?
See, but you said it yourself, right? Modern day trade scenarios don't necessarily go down the way the teams want them to. Like, I'm pretty certain the Pelicans did not want to trade Anthony Davis to the Lakers, but Anthony Davis and Anthony Davis representation made it pretty clear that that was the only place he wanted to go to. So the Pelicans had to swallow it and make a deal happen. I'm fairly certain that the New York Knicks didn't want to give up every last piece they had to get Carmelo Anthony because they knew their team would be gutted to get him. But Carmelo said, "Oh, no, no, no. I'm coming to the Knicks and I'm coming now. You better give up the pieces." So if Giannis goes to the Bucks and he says, "I want to be a Knick," he'll be on the Knicks. And it won't be great for the Bucks because they won't get any draft picks back. The team that can make it happen is the Hawks. The Hawks have draft picks, including the Bucks' own draft picks they can give back to them. The Hawks have some young guys that you can convince yourself might be decent players in a couple of years. And the Hawks have a big, fat, expiring contract and a guy you could at least convince teams or fans to still come the end of the year. And I'm talking about Trae Young. But because the Hawks own the Bucks picks, will they say to themselves, "We're not going to help the Bucks get mediocre and stay in the middle of the pack. We hope that they stink and we get their draft picks." So the other team I think about, Jimmy, and then I'll throw to Chris here, is the Cavs. But you mentioned second apron stuff there. The Cavs are not allowed to aggregate salary together to get a player, so they can't do Garland and Allen, two players I'm sure they'd love to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. They'd have to trade Evan Mobley. And now that's a serious conversation for Cavs brass. Are we giving up on Evan Mobley for Giannis?
Are we sure that he's going to stay in the East?
You
Maybe there's
want
a
to stay in the
team.
East.
Maybe
I
there's a
mean,
team in the West has a better package though. I
yeah.
can think of a team in Tennessee. Maybe wants to make a change up. Maybe you see Ja getting moved. I mean, that's a
Would you
situation where you
want
could probably
Ja?
make, huh?
Would you want Ja, Chris? Would you want Ja? Or would you rather take a package from a team in Texas?
I'm just saying. I think everyone keeps talking about the East. I really think if I'm in the Western Conference, knowing how good Oklahoma City is, how good Houston's looking right now, how good the Lakers are looking, I may try to make a move. Giannis is the type of dude that
But
can
that's why
get you to
Giannis
the
doesn't want to
finals.
go there. But see, that's what I'm saying, Chris. The power Giannis has, that's why he doesn't want to go there. And I think that's what Jimmy's saying. He's going to try to steer to go to the East because he sees it as more wide open.
Does he have a no trade clause in his contract?
He's got
That doesn't matter.
He's
Stop
Giannis.
it.
It doesn't matter. That's the only issue. Yeah. He does have 3 years left, but he can also re-sign next year. So a team would want reassurances that he's going to sign long term if they're going to give up a lot. If they're not going to give up a lot, maybe not. But
Who do
the
you like,
Bucks
Jimmy?
need something.
I know you've cooked up a few scenarios.
Well, it is the Hawks, I think, is a good one. Just because they do have picks and they have some Milwaukee picks because Milwaukee has no pick, right? So you either have to get players back, which is a Cat and an OG Anunoby. Those two for Giannis and Kuzma works. Okay. Does that do anything for you if you're Milwaukee? Because you have Cat, Miles Turner, and OG. Rollins, things like that. It's not horrible, but who's coming in? Trae Young will get butts in the seats at least. Maybe get one of your picks back. Get one of the younger guys as well. Maybe that'll work for him. I think that works well. Let's just do a full circle. Straight up for AD. Let's just do it. Let's go for it. Send him to Dallas. Give Dallas Giannis, Cooper Flag, Kyrie Irving, everything's fine. It's exactly how everything worked out.
Jimmy, I like your talk of Texas, but I think the team that you got to think seriously about is San Antonio.
Yeah.
Because you have to think about it this way. San Antonio has 3 essential top 3 picks in the last 3 years. Now, clearly Wembanyama's not on the plate, okay? But Devin Vassell is, all right? And then you got an expiring contract in Harrison Barnes. And then you basically then, as your San Antonio, decide, is it Steph Castle or is it Dylan Harper? It's probably Steph Castle. You probably want to hold on to Dylan Harper, but
Yeah.
Steph Castle, Barnes, Vassell, some draft picks. That's the trade if he's going west, I think.
I think too, because that would be, you've got your backcourt, you've got Turner for the next couple of years, so he's your front court guy. I think that is a good trade because you're getting everything you want. You're getting picks and you're getting the players. If you're San Antonio, Wembanyama, can he play 2 months straight? Is that allowed with Wembanyama? Because I'd like to see him play. Because right now is your window. Your window was today. You've got to win today because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow with him.
Well, but also you could argue that and say the window is nowhere because Oklahoma City's 21-1 and certainly seems like they're going to lose 4 games all year long.
That's a valid point. There is no window. The window's shut, closed, over.
Because not only might they lose 4 games all year long, they're going to have 2 top 10 draft picks thanks to the stupid Clippers and the stupid Sixers.
What if they? Because I think the Sixers, I think, is top 4, but the Clippers, they could get the number 1 pick. I think.
Oh,
what
yeah,
if they had the
Clippers
first and 4th pick in a 6-person draft? They have the 1st and 4th pick. They're like, yeah, we can trade it for something because we don't have room for people.
Well, then here's the one that nobody ever talks about. They still have the opportunity at a 3rd lottery pick that would probably land somewhere between 10 and 13. So you could have a 2-time defending champion coming off a setting the wins record with 3 lottery picks. Ridiculous. That's like 2K stuff. That's like what I do when I'm running a team on 2K.
Speaking of ridiculous. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
I was just going to say they're going to be studying this for years on how to build a championship contender and a team that can last for the long run because I don't know how they did it. They're smarter than we all are.
Man, this has been a really positive show. You know what that means?
We have to do something about this situation. The momentum is dying.
I don't understand no more distractions.
But I do believe we should all follow one path in life.
Hubris and ego and pride. Sorry, all that was a complete lie.
It's the Raw Damnation of the week.
Well, you know what, Jimmy? We're actually going to stay a little bit positive because this week's Rod Damnation goes out to one person and one person only, and that person is Rod Morgan. That's right. I am Rod Damnationing myself because I, last week, said I probably know more than any NBA fan you know. I'm not an NBA expert, but I know more than any NBA fan you know. I confidently said that on this podcast last week. And then I proceed to go through the week, and I hear some people talking about stars who were injured and coming back to teams who are playing pretty well, right? And then I start hearing about potential teams and players they may trade in the Giannis Antetokounmpo sweepstakes. And I hear the Miami Heat brought up. And I think I know the Miami Heat pretty well. I was around, watched the Miami Heat in the finals. I know about their 6th man winner from a few years back. I thought his name was Tyler Hero. That's what I've called him for years. He was Tyler Hero. That's Tyler Hero. Tyler Hero from the Heat. Oh, no. Apparently, I was wrong. Somewhere away, I missed a memo. We have decided that his name is not Tyler Hero. It is Tyler Harrow. I apologize. I missed the memo that it is not Tyler Hero. It is Tyler Harrow. I need to be included on the email with Wendy and Bontemps and McMahon and the guys. Maybe I can get in on the Pablo Torre email exchange. Somebody let your boy know that it's not Tyler Hero. It is Tyler Harrow. So Rod Damnation to me.
I don't get the joke. I didn't hear anything about this. What's going on? I messed up. What? This
no
is
joke.
Hilarious.
Just no joke. I thought the guy's name was Hero, and apparently it's pronounced Harrow.
Who says
So
Harrow?
That's just Rod Damnation on me.
Who says Harrow?
Tyler Harrow. That's apparently how you're supposed to pronounce his name. It's not Hero.
Who pronounced it that way?
Every podcast I heard this week pronounced it that way. Goldsberry
Harrow?
fired it out that way when he was talking about guys coming back from the. Oh yeah. I heard somebody
hell?
on group chat, whether it was Barry or J. Kyle Mann. Yeah, no, I'm telling you. Apparently, it's Tyler Harrow. I think I heard somebody on the
Herro.
broadcast.
If
right?
Herro.
Listen, if we're going to give out raw donations because we mispronounce names, then why is there anybody else listed under there but me? Because I do it religiously every single week,
Speaking
even
of
on
every
people
single
that
week,
even people I nominate.
you gave me the opening and you took it away. Speaking in every single week, we need to talk about the Kings Hardwood Hierarchy.
Bryant for the win.
For those
Rod
of you
already
who,
mentioned him.
real quick, Chris, I'm sorry, I apologize, Chris. Sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't, and I need to get better at being consistent. My fault. Last week we had the Thunder, the King, the Pistons, the Queen, the Prince were the Toronto Cobras, and the Bucks were the Jester. Chris, go right ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Rod already mentioned it though. It's Oklahoma City's world, and everyone else is just living in it. All right. We thought the Pistons were doing real good, winning 12, 13 in a row. Oklahoma said, "Hold my beer." We're gonna do it too, and just keep dominating everybody. All right. So they're still the king, and I don't know when they'll get upset or if they will. If they continue this, 4 losses, 78 wins, that would be unheard of. All right. Everything else is changing. We have some new blood, a team we haven't really mentioned, but they have proven they can beat whoever they come up against. That's the Los Angeles Lakers. That's your queen, followed closely by the Houston Rockets because I'm impressed by how much they play defense and how well that offensive runs. Their efficiency is off the charts. So Lakers, your queen, Rockets, your prince.
I like that. You know what I like about the Rockets? They're old school. If there's a basketball bouncing around, you should go grab it and get an extra possession for your team. Like that's literally the key to the efficiency for the Rockets because they're not shooting threes, right? And all we hear, Chris, is that modern day NBA shoot threes, got to shoot threes. The Rockets are like, no. We just got these two big dudes, and anytime somebody misses a shot, we're getting it back and we're going to get another easy shot.
Second chance points, offensive rebounds, like the hustles for the loose ball, they're getting those extra possessions are just as important.
You better watch
Now
out
we
too when
go.
Tari Eason goes to dunk it. He's trying to kill that rim. He's impressive anytime he gets to dunk it. I can't wait to see that guy come back.
Now we're going to get to the jester. There's going to be some friends of ours that are going to be upset with this, but it's your Chicago Bulls, all right? And let's just you're going to have to listen to it, all right?
You're right.
They're in a streak of 5 losses in a row. This is their second streak of 5 losses in a row this season already, all right? The last 5 games they've lost are to teams like the Pelicans, the Hornets, the Pacers, the Nets, and the Magic. The Magic being the only team with a better record than Chicago. All right, that is not a good look. There is something going on in the Windy City. They started off so strong, but I tell you, losing to teams like the Pacers, the Nets, and the Pelicans, and Charlotte all in a streak is not a good look, and it's not a winning combination. They're now 11th in the East and out of the playoffs.
Death, taxes, and the Bulls will be 500-ish and in the playoffs. Book it every year, Jimmy Jam. Doesn't matter if they start out strong. Doesn't matter if they start out terribly. The Bulls will somehow find the level and manage to land as the 9 seed.
You know, as a Bulls fan for a very, very long time, it makes me sad to see that happen. They were down 10 points with about a minute left. And in this day and age in the NBA, that's forever. And they were just chilling. They didn't even care. They got it down to 8, I think, and then it went back up to 10. I didn't see the drive, their draft pick, Senge, played 6 minutes this year, out for the season. People are saying trade for AD. I think it's the dumbest thing you could possibly do is trade for AD, honestly. Whoever the team is, just because you know what's going to happen when you trade for AD. The Mavericks have seen it happen. He's played like 7 games for them. I think they should now trade for AD. Why not? Do something different. I don't like it, Rod.
You know who else doesn't like it? I don't think Nikola Vucevic has a lot of fun on this team, right? Like you see a lot of the other Bulls, they're kind of, they're like, there's a little camaraderie going on. They're having fun. They're doing their little poses, their little handshakes. And Vuce is always just stone faced. It's like sitting on the bench by himself or like not really celebrating with teammates on the floor, just a dead ball. And he's just like walking back over to the bench, like, give me a towel and something to drink. Like, just get Vuce out of there. Let him go shoot corner threes for a team that actually might compete for something in the playoffs, and let the Bulls continue to be Josh Giddey's team, and that team will not be a very, very good team with Josh Giddey as your best player. Sorry, Derek. It's just facts.
And with that, you've been listening to the Fast Break, part of Balls and Brew on the More You Knows Podcasting Network. Coming up next, it's the Yeah We Know podcast.
Like, comment, and
Let's go
subscribe.
Celtics. I see you.
Goodbye, internet.
146
Fighting
points.
hard. Fighting Joe Mazes.
Not bad. 146.
I take my rightful place at the head of the table. Believe that.
Welcome to the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Knows Podcasting Network. In the ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod. Yeah, we have our finals of the Last Time Is Now tournament. We have Gunther versus LA Knight. After two pretty good matches on Raw, that Gunther solo match, Rod, people were behind that. I kind of like that.
Hey, man, I've been championing Solo on this podcast for a little while. I think his abilities are just growing and growing more and more. And we have been basically like a Gunther fan cheering section for years on this podcast now. So see those two guys get together, start chopping one another back and forth all over the ring. You start throwing suplexes. I'm all into it, man. Let's go. I don't know if I loved the Jay Uso response to the loss. I don't know if I loved the way the ending went down, but I'm not mad with the two people that are in the finals, I suppose.
Chris, we all know how Rod likes the backslide pin. Have we yeeted for the last time, Chris?
Listen, I am so happy that LA got the win, but I do not want to see any more reverse roll up pins for a little while, at least not in the men's division. I think it's getting a little bit overused. All right. But I am with Rod. I'm happy about the final match. And I do kind of hope we don't hear Yeet for a while. I think it's been pretty clear. I am not a fan of Yeet. I am no Yeet. So no, I'm happy. All right, Jay, go be a lackey for Roman again. More power to you.
Rod, I think I've seen it all now. I think he actually pulled off the no yeet pretty well.
He did. Our boy, every once in a while, he surprises us, Jimmy. You and I think we always know where Chris is going to go with his wrestling takes, and every once in a while, he can pull out a no yeet, and you and I are like, good Lord. He also did a little bit of a dab there, too. You got to love that out of the guy.
So we have Gunther and LA Knight. I believe it is this Monday on Raw. That's correct? It's Raw, right? I think, yeah.
I thought they were going to do it on SmackDown. They're not going to do it on
SmackDown?
SmackDown. They're making it happen on Raw again.
It might be
It
SmackDown.
could be either way.
Yeah, either way. We're going to have that matchup coming up. It opens the door, guys, for Gunther to win, because I think we would love to see LA Knight win. I think Gunther's going to win, and then I think John Cena is going to win his final match, Rod.
John Cena beats Gunther in his final match, huh? He gets a
Yeah, I
triumphant
think so.
walk-off. Yeah, I could see that. It's certainly not going to hurt Gunther. I guess, too, right? Like, we could continue to grow the character of LA Knight with him feeling even more disrespected, even more. I got to, get back to the top if he loses this match, I suppose. So you could convince me and all that. I don't know how incredibly inventive or how incredibly useful it is to have John Cena win his final match, but I guess ultimately I'm not mad at it, Jim, would be my answer.
Well, the closest thing I can think of is when Sting, in a tag team match, he won his final match in AEW, minor leagues, whatever, janitors, whatever you want to talk about. But he won his final match, and the place went crazy, and it was a really good, lighthearted, feel-good moment. It's what the people wanted. And, Chris, I think the people want John Cena to win this last match.
If John Cena's fighting LA Knight, I want LA Knight to win this match.
Damn right.
All
That's what I
right.
like to see.
I want
Fan
I want
first,
to
always.
I want to see this story arc of LA Knight getting the chance and getting screwed over by the Bloodline and Roman and getting knocked back down and having to fight his way back up through the ranks to get his opportunity and coming up short and getting screwed out of being able to take off that heavyweight championship from Punk, or getting it before Punk, and now having to fight his way back through the Jay Uso who was in front of him, the Gunther who was in front of him, and then the legend John Cena and taking him out. Give me the LA Knight story.
I like that. I'm going to make predictions right now. I mean, if it's Gunther, Cena ooh, that got high there. If it's Gunther, Cena wins. If it's LA Knight, I think LA Knight's going to beat Cena if it's LA Knight in that match. There's no reason. I don't understand how the Cena LA Knight Cena winning would work, Rod.
You're absolutely right, Jimmy. I'm going to back you up 100% on that. It's a two different scenario, right? Like if we decide Gunther wins, and we could even be Triple H hasn't fully decided yet, right? They could actually be cooking up both possible outcomes, and then they'll pull the trigger at the last minute. But I'm with you. If LA Knight beats Gunther, there's no reason to have LA Knight on his back to Cena. There just absolutely isn't. And then Gunther wins. There's no reason for Cena to be on his back to Gunther. So I think it's all going to come down to this match, whether it be on SmackDown or Raw. I guess we'll figure it out if
Both
we
of
get
them.
done with this podcast.
Exactly. So the reason why I think Cena's going to win his last match against Gunther is because he lost his second to last match at Survivor Series War Games, which we did a nice pre-show for, and we promised if anything awesome happened, we'd be there right after. And nothing awesome happened, so we weren't there right after. All right, then. John Cena and Dominic Mysterio had the match of the night. Okay, these injury things, they're getting us. They're getting us. The only thing that had me question is the exact same move that Penta did, and Penta actually got hurt on it. But then you have Dom down, like, oh, good, he's hurt. What's going on? Is this going to be, what are we doing here? They got us, Rod, and I liked it.
Yeah, I must admit I was kind of like, what's happening in this match here? And then not to mention the move that kind of looked ugly that we just kind of bounced up.
Yeah, it
from
looked horrendous.
Yeah, that Hurricane Rana. That was a bad Hurricane Rana there that looked like Dom took the worst of that big time. And then I got to call E on me again. I put Rod Damnation out on myself in the basketball segment, and I completely forgot about Liv Morgan. Liv, I'm sorry. How could I forget about you? You're a great wrestler. You're a beautiful woman. It's hard to miss you when you walk into a room, but I forgot about Liv Morgan. So when her music hit and she came down to the ring, I was like, oh yeah, that's awesome. And then I was like, I absolutely thought she's going to be mad at Dom, right? Because of all the Roxanne stuff. So when she came in and slapped Dom, I was 100% like, here we go. But then when she ran and jumped into John Cena's arms, I'm like, wait a minute, this is kind of weird. And then great work by the camera, cut to her eyes.
Those eyes.
And it all unfolded from there.
When I saw that, Chris, I said, she missed him. Like, that was a really bad punch by Liv, you know? Now we know why she missed him.
Right, perfectly played. It's easy to see, and finally, I think some other people are starting to realize that Dom is a genius. The way he was able to orchestrate this entire match into his favor, use all of his Judgment Day allies to do what he needed to do to get the belt back. Dom is a genius. He knew Liv was coming back. He knew that would be the ultimate distraction after everything else. He knew John Cena would see through his fake injury or see through Roxanne and everyone else getting into the ring before that. So Dom is a genius. He knew exactly what to do to finally get back at John Cena.
What we thought would happen happened. They put it in the death spot, and it died. Stephanie Vaquer, Nikki Bella. Nikki did not look on top of things tonight. Steph looked fine. She did the devil's kiss outside, but people didn't kind of realize that's what was happening. And then she did it again inside, and people really got into it. But I don't understand why you don't put this first and then do the women's war game second, Cena and Dom third and fourth. If you're going to have this on the show, put it out first so people are going to be excited about it, Rod. This is I don't like it. I didn't like it at all.
Yeah, it's not a great spot for Nikki Bella if you continue to want her to try to be something, because she just kind of seems to not be important at all after this kind of match. It's not great for your champion, Stephanie McCurr, who you continue to want to try to build up. So sure, she got a win that you can put on her resume, but she got zero juice from it whatsoever. So I echo your sentiments there that it should have led off. I continue to say okay with Stephanie McCurr, but like, we've had a lot of clunky matches, and like, at what point, Jimmy, am I allowed to say maybe Stephanie's involved in that a little bit, or am I supposed to just continuing to blame the people that she's wrestling against? Right? I'm starting to ask myself that question.
No, she's a really solid wrestler. Just I think Nikki Bella is the only issue with her right now is there's so many other women in this tag team fiasco that's going on that she's being pushed back, and that's not where you want your champion at, for sure. And can I say one thing,
Yeah, but you
real
don't think?
quick?
But wait a
Go
minute.
ahead.
Let me hold on. Let
Yeah.
me push back. Let me push back.
Yeah.
You don't think her matches have been a little clunky before even the Nikki Bella match? Like, you don't think it was a tad bit clunky when she won the belt? Like, you don't think that it just looks a little robotic at times in every match? You don't think that's true?
I don't. No, I don't think that's true.
All right. Listen, maybe I'm seeing something. Maybe I'm seeing something.
So this YouTube TV and ESPN Limited crap. Okay, apparently I don't get access to it yet, so I'm trying to get on. It says, "Hey, is YouTube TV your thing?" Yes, it is. I sign in. Oh, you don't have, you got to have it. Pay $30 for it. I'm not paying $30 for it. Don't think I'm not. I'm not paying anymore. Damn it, I pay enough. So I was able to watch
Don't
it.
you already have? Don't you already have
What?
Disney Plus and Hulu? Like, it should just be like, it's not $30 if you already have those other two.
I don't have Hulu Live though. It's Disney Plus, Hulu, and then ESPN Plus, not ESPN Unlimited. I don't pay $30 for it.
See, I
pay
guess
like
that's the
$10
difference
it.
for me.
Yeah,
We
you have
already
the
had
$30
the
version.
ESPN.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so then all we had to do was like up 7 or 8, or maybe it's 12 or something like that. But listen, I understand.
Anyway.
All right, I do. I've complained about it in the basketball world, and this is, you have to deal with it in the wrestling world now too, because you have to have some sort of a regular cable package so you can watch SmackDown on Friday nights. If you're an NXT person, you got to have some sort of cable package, or at least an antenna so you can watch CW. If for some reason you want to check out the Janitors League, you got to be able to have TBS and TNT. That's part of a cable package. So, you know,
HBO
I mean,
Max,
and then you got to have.
It's on the HBO Max as well. Thank you.
Of course it is. They can't even have it on TNT or TBS because it's just Janitors Wrestling.
No,
People
it's
don't
on
even wanna
all of
watch
them.
it on basic cable. Either
By the
way,
way, shout out to TNA who got a contract with AMC, so we're going to get some live TNA every other Thursday, I think. So
now wait a minute. Does that mean AMC is going to stop their relationship with the WWE documentaries? Because some of those are pretty cool.
No, AMC and WWE and TNA are like this, so we're good.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because Joe Henry and everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're good. So the women's War Games matches, so they didn't have the shark cages out anymore. And the reason is because WWE audiences like the entrances. That's the only reason. So they had the entrances going, which people got a pop for. But then it takes a minute to get down there. You know, you get all that stuff taken care of. I just thought it was a little long. It was cool to see Io Sky at the very end. The AJ Lee, listen, that ending was great. The timing was perfect. I know you don't like that move. But the Widows, that was, or not the Widow, whatever her finishing move is, I can't think of it right now, was awesome, Chris. I thought that was a really cool ending sequence.
Yeah, I enjoyed the women's War Games match. All right, and I was happy that we didn't see Charlotte turn heel or backstab anybody. Right, like I was very happy about that. And it leads into what even made me more happy is at the end of Raw this past week, because of what transpired during War Games and because of Liv coming back, we had some actual realistic, believable in story women's division chaos to end a TV night. Like all those women at the end of Raw in the ring, around the ring, fighting each other. It was all believable and great. I think that War Games helped lead into that even better.
I think my only, Rod, you can hit the War Games as well, but my only concern with that ending is they kind of did this on SmackDown where they had 6 really good teams and they just had them go against each other, and every week they went 50-50 and beat each other, and really didn't get anyone over too much. Although the women are pretty over right now anyway, right, Rod?
Absolutely. Nobody's getting over from this. Nobody's going to come out on top, and somebody's going to end up with a tag team championship belt, and somebody else is going to win it from a couple of weeks later. And then we're going to all break off and have individual matches at WrestleMania. So, congratulations on having a great storyline that is going to get us through the holidays. But what I want to do, Women's War Games cooked. I'm sorry, Women's War Games is cooked. There's no need for it anymore. All we're essentially doing is waiting for the trash can spot. And not only are we waiting for the trash can spot, this year the WWE telegraphed the trash can spot for us by painting a trash can white with red EO Sky lettering on it. Okay? We don't have to have the War Games matches anymore. And I'll tell you another reason why we shouldn't have them, why they're cooked. You got one star, and let's call it for what it is, Jimmy. Brock Lesnar looked at that shark cage and said, Brock ain't doing that. And so the WWE had to scrap the shark cages for everybody because it would have been awfully weird to make the women still stand in the shark
The
cages.
women
then
in
we're
a
turning
cage.
around for the men's match, and they are not. Yeah, exactly. So thank Brock Lesnar for ending the shark cage matches, and thank EO Sky for proving the War Games match was cool. It was fun to bring it back for a while, but there's zero reason for it anymore. Zero reason. Stop with the War Games.
I think with all these, it's just do one. You don't have to do a men's and a women's every year. You know, if you have a women's every couple of years, that's fine. When the Royal Rumble goes to 2 days, that'll be a lot easier. Royal Rumble women's one day is the main event, men's is the second day. That's fine.
When there's a story that dictates this could be
Correct.
realistic, you don't have to force it, right? There could have been a much better one with the MFTs
And the
and
Wyatts.
the White Six
Yeah.
because that was a storyline with the correct number of people. It was built for War Games. Like, let's get some of these people over.
Yeah, but instead we had every single one of our main eventers in there. A couple things I took away from this. Brock Lesnar's gigantic. I don't care what you think. He's just an unbelievable human being that guy is. CM Punk, pretty good job. He went in there first, and he and Braun Breaker went at it, and he was in there the entire time. Overall, I thought it was a decent match, and then the ending just fell so flat. Are you kidding me? You have a random person jump the cage, jump in. CM Punk looks at him for 5 minutes, like, oh, what's going on? And then gets stopped and loses. Obviously, it's not Seth Rollins. It's Austin Theory. It's not Chris Jericho. Okay. But then they don't show us, so people are left very confused. Braun Breaker gets the pin, and we'll talk about that here in a second. But Rod, I didn't like the ending. I'm sorry.
No, Jimmy, I like you am a huge non-fan of when a match that is good is ruined by a run-in at the end, right? Now, I wouldn't qualify this men's War Games match as good, but I agree with your sentiments that you really just kind of peed all over the match when you had a masked man jump in there, waste CM Punk. Nobody else seemed bothered by it, by the way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like nobody else was like, hey, who's this weirdo in the ring? Like I'm supposed to have teammates that I'm supposed to back up. No one's, well, shit, they're messing with CM Punk. Anybody but me, I suppose. So that was odd for it to happen. The guy jumps right back out of the cage. But I do have to admit, I at least like the lowest bar there is to clear of, hey, who's the person behind the mask? We don't know yet, right? So, I mean, that's at least a little bit intriguing. And we had Pierce continuing the storyline of bringing in Eddie Orango, who apparently is the snitch to the back room. Hey, Eddie, when all the guys are talking back there, make sure you come and let me know who the masked man was. Eddie Orango's on the case, Chris. You've been calling for investigations for months on this podcast. Little did you know, all you needed was good old Eddie Orango.
That's not who was on the top of my list for top tier investigators. No. What if I told you guys I can make you love this from the WWE? All right. Make you believe in this being the right way to go. All right. Because I've been telling you guys that the good guys are the Vision, Drew, Logan, Brock Lesnar. Like these are the good guys. And you know what good guys do when they need help, Rod? I believe that Drew McIntyre said someone's name and someone came out to help. Do you believe Rod.
Look out. I mean, I
He
always
just signed with the
believe, but
WWE.
we're going way out there if we're thinking Joe Henry's the masked man. But listen, I'm always ready to believe.
If
Chris.
Joe
I
Henry's
mean,
the
you give me
masked
a
man,
beat.
how does that make you feel?
Excited.
Yeah.
Amped,
It makes me feel
pumped,
I know that was not
jacked.
Joe Hendry who was in the ring, though.
Yeah, that guy wasn't. Joe Henry's got some big old broad shoulders. That guy wasn't quite as broad shouldered as Joe Henry is.
You
Joe
can't
Henry's
bring
like a
him in
barrel
as a
chest.
bad guy, though.
What
No.
bad guy?
Drew
He
McIntyre's
stomped.
a good guy. Never
He
mind. Drew
stomped the
McIntyre's a
bad
good
guy.
Never mind.
It was
He
evident that
stomped the
Phil
bad
was the bad guy. No one, not even his own teammates, stepped in to help him when he was getting stomped. Phil's definitely the bad guy.
Well,
There
he's
you
so
have it.
bad, Chris, in fact, that Braun Breaker cut the promo of all promos. It was a fine promo. Calm down, everybody.
I agree. Settle down, Juice, on everybody calling it the promo of the year.
Oh, no, not even close. Braun Breaker, CM Punk, January 6th on Saturday night's main event. Or no, I'm sorry, on the first Netflix on Raw, I think, of the new year. That's a
Yeah, the 1-year
gigantic match.
anniversary.
I did not think they were going to do that quick. Do you have any thought that they're going to give him the title, Rod?
Breaker
Yeah.
on January 6th.
Yeah.
If Braun Breaker comes down to the ring with like one of those like fur horn deals and he's got his face painted with the American flag and he's carrying like deer spray and he's walking down to the ring with all that stuff on the anniversary of January 6th, maybe I'll think that they're going to give the belt to Braun Breaker. But somehow I'd imagine the WWE will avoid that political firebrand and it will probably just
Tuesday.
Oh, dang it. All right, there goes my joke. Jimmy had to step all over a good joke there.
It was a great
But
joke.
no, CM Punk.
I'm not gonna lie, that was a great joke.
CM Punk is probably gonna win this. I think we're gonna live in a world where Braun Breaker is champion in 2026, but I don't think it's happening January 5th.
Yeah, the only thing that would be cool is if he won, and then the number 30 in the Rumble is Seth Rollins, and he wins the Rumble. But I think that's too early, though. I mean, I don't know. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Oh, give it to him. I don't want Phil to have that belt. He didn't deserve to have a chance to win it in the first place, as far as I'm concerned. No, get that belt off of him. Give it to a Steiner. Put it back on a Steiner.
Put it back on a Steiner. Yeah, get that world championship.
Did
back
we think
on a
Chris
Steiner.
was going to say anything different there, Jimmy? Did we honestly think Chris was going to say anything different there?
Nope, and that's why I went to him, and that is why he is one of the best of the three co-hosts of the Yeah We Know podcast, part of the More You Know podcasting network. You're in the ring with Jimmy, Chris, and Rod.
And I'm sorry, I got it just for a second here. He is away from the WWE right now, but he is technically part of the WWE family. That is Pat McAfee. And Pat, my guy, all right, you do college football, you do wrestling, you had a comedy tour. I don't know about rap, my guy. I do not know about rap. I think maybe it's time to give you some settled down juice when you are releasing an album and you seem to be dead serious about it. I think that we need some settled down juice for our guy.
Goodbye, Net. Yeah.